Well, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready to fight for America?
Yeah.
Are you ready to take this country back?
Yeah.
Good. A year and a half ago, I had the privilege of speaking at the Forward Tea Party at LaGrave Field. And I want to repeat something that I said that night. And that is, we are at a crossroads in our nation's history. This is not about bank bailouts or mortgage bailouts or AIG bonuses. Those are just the headlines. This is about something much more fundamental than all of that. The choice we face is this: liberty or tyranny. And folks, that choice has not changed. The headlines may have changed. A year and a half ago, we were talking about the government takeover of General Motors. We were talking about the government bailout of the banks, which it now appears that actually the banks took over the government. We were talking about what started off Rick Santelli's famous rant, which was the government using tax dollars to give to individuals who fell behind on their mortgages. I remember the signs, honk if I'm paying your mortgage. Well, the headlines are different today, aren't they? Today we're talking about the Ground Zero Mosque. We're talking about the federal government suing the state of Arizona. We're talking about the ban on drilling in the Gulf. We don't know what the headlines are going to be tomorrow. Because we didn't know 2 months ago that today we'd be talking about a mosque at Ground Zero. We didn't know 6 months ago that there was going to be a ban on drilling in the Gulf. We didn't know a year ago that the federal government was going to sue the state of Arizona. So what do they have planned for tomorrow? We don't know, but I will say this. It is my contention that we make a fundamental strategic error in chasing headlines. Because that's what they want. They want to keep you off balance. They want to keep you reacting from one outrage to the next. The fundamental choice is this: freedom or tyranny. Now, I hate to do this in public. I actually dye my hair gray. Most people don't know that. Really what is happening here, folks, is federal tyranny. It is the agenda with the federal government is to nationalize the states. What their plan is, what their intent is to turn state governments into administrative districts for federal policy. When you elect a representative to go to Austin on your behalf, in the future, if they are successful, you will not be electing somebody to represent you, you'll be electing somebody to represent Washington, D.C. And maybe instead of holding tea parties and waving signs and shouting at the converted, maybe really what we should be doing is camping out at the offices of our state representatives and demand that they show some spine and show some political courage, stand up to Washington, D.C., and nullify these unconstitutional laws. We have an obligation to future generations. And that obligation is to pass along the same America that was bestowed upon us. I want to quote something from Samuel Adams. It was written 200 years ago, and I think it applies as much to today as it did then. The liberties of our country, the freedom of our civil constitution, are worth defending at all hazards. And it is our duty to defend them against all attacks. We have received them as a fair inheritance from our noble ancestors. They purchased them for us with toil and danger and expense of treasure and blood, and transmitted them to us with care and diligence. There will be an everlasting mark of infamy on the present generation, enlightened as it is, if we should suffer them to be wrested from us by violence without a struggle, or to be cheated out of them by the artifices of false and designing men. The artifices of false and designing men. Our liberty, our freedom, our Constitution are indeed under attack, and we are in grave danger of being cheated out of them by false and designing men. It is the calling of this generation of Americans to draw a line in the sand, to stand up, to stand tall, to stand our ground, and tell these people, not only no you can't, but like hell you will! The message that we need to send forth is that from this day on there is a new boss. And just like in the song, the new boss is the same as the old boss. But in this case, the old boss is the original boss, the one our founders had intended, the one our founders so carefully and deliberately identified in the first 3 words of the document that we are discussing today. So meet the new boss, we the people. Thank you.